So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing is, that's me hiking up Hoverla a little over a year ago. Like Maria said, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine from 2017 until 2020, when all global volunteers were evacuated due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm currently studying at the University of Pennsylvania, and I will graduate this May with a degree in nonprofit leadership. So I hope to take all of those experiences, including today's experience with you, and work with youth, most likely in a camp or school setting, to help make the leaders of tomorrow. So very excited for that opportunity. Great. So as we talk about discrimination in schools, the easiest way for me to picture it is looking at this comic and thinking that if we were to expect the same thing from every single person, we would never get the same results. It would never be fair. That elephant is not going to be able to climb that tree. Neither is that fish. Neither is that penguin, right? Biologically, they can't climb the tree. It would be like saying that, you know what, I don't want to give an example. Can anybody else think of any other examples like this? Maybe biologically, let's start just physically. What other ways would it not be fair to test somebody in a physical sense?
Maybe when we are talking about physical activity between boys and girls, and when it's like when boys are taught to do more sports and girls are just like taught to be beautiful, and when they need to compete between each other, it's of course it's obviously more difficult for girls to do as well sports as boys do, just because of the different parents' behavior. And as for me, it's so it's so strange, and also just about sports maybe, because not everyone wants to do that, and not everyone should be in their best physical form shape and to do everything the athletes can do on the Olympiads. And as well with our studying, when different people has different interests, and it's obvious not good to say that if you do not know math, you are a stupid one. Just because you do not know math, but you know, for example, biology.
Sure.
So it's it's a problem, a great problem in Ukrainian schools.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there and kind of unpack those two different things that you talked about. So in terms of physical abilities, you mentioned sports, right? And so I think it's incredibly important, especially when we're young, to give everyone the fair chance to do whatever sports they want to try, be that football or wrestling, basketball, volleyball, American football, tennis, table tennis, whatever, because especially at that young age, it's much more about play and fun and exercise. You're not going to be most likely the next Olympic gold medalist. And that's okay, right? That's okay to just play the game. As we get older, you can look at different ways of dividing people so that they are competing on different levels and they are taking tests to reach those different levels. But that's a different idea. Then Maria, you mentioned, testing in different ways and considering if somebody is bad in math, then they're dumb or not smart. But what if they're good in science, or they're good in English, or they're good at being a very kind listener, or being very brave and outgoing? There's so many different parts to us as an individual that just looking for one qualifying thing that makes us good or smart or strong is discriminatory. Yeah. So the monkey is going to be able to climb the tree, so he'll get an A+ in this school on our picture. Great job for the monkey. But what if the test was, we want to see who can hold their breath the longest, who can be underwater the longest?
Fish.
The fish. Yeah, absolutely, the fish. Will anybody else even have a chance?
Penguin.
Yeah.
Penguin might be, and seal.
Penguin and seal might do a little bit okay. And maybe, you know, maybe the elephant could sneak a little bit. He could put his trunk up in the air and, you know, cheat a little bit. But that dog and that monkey and that bird, they're not going very far. And all of a sudden the tables have turned and they are being discriminated against because of how they were born, you know, without gills. You'll be able to answer the question, how might a student be discriminated by in school? Being interested in a boy who likes to dance, from a teacher because of the speed with which you perceive the material, your family's money. We've got a really long answer: sex, gender, sexual orientation, family status, race, nationality, age, looks, family condition. These are great. You guys have really put some thought into these. So I said discrimination might come from a whole host of areas. It could come from your family background, right? Your family could look or sound different. They could come from a different part of the country or a different country altogether. And that difference may be just enough for your classmates or your teachers to treat you differently. The curriculum. So you may not learn well if somebody is only talking to you all day, right? Maybe you are a learner who needs to write things down, or you need to talk out loud, or you need to move. There are different ways of learning. We call them learning styles. And if your teacher's curriculum does not allow you to work within those spaces, you may be discriminated against. Socioeconomic. I'm not sure if that easily translates as well. But you know, that's just kind of a little bit of a more specific way of looking at your family's background. What is their financial situation? What is their social standing in the community? Your grades, you know, teachers, your school principals, and your friends or your classmates could all discriminate against you based on your grades. Your gender, your sexuality, this is how you were born and also how you identify. You know, women and girls are treated differently than men and boys are. And then that is also different to how they are choosing, you know, to show themselves. I know that these aren't choices in real life, but sometimes we have to make choices on how we present to the world for our comfort or safety, and that can change how we are discriminated against. Personality. I personally am pretty loud. I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty go-gettery. But what happens is that sometimes people think that that means I always know what I'm doing. And I always have the answers. And it's okay to make fun of me when I don't have those answers. And that's not fair, because I don't always have the answers and I'm not always confident. And sometimes I'm loud because I'm scared, and that's my way of hiding it. And then I put racial differences here because I think it's something that the world is seeing more and more. And not because it's happening more and more, but because people are speaking up more and more. I'm certainly seeing that in America with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think we're also seeing it.
Listen so loud.
I'm sorry? Did somebody say something? Oh, okay. Thought I heard something for a minute. So we have this quote, and I'll let you guys read it to yourselves. pulled this quote today because I found that in my research for our topic, while we can all come up with examples of being bullied or even being the bullies as friends or fellow students, to me, the more important topic was how the adults in our lives are discriminating against us in schools. And unfortunately, oftentimes those adults don't want to admit their discrimination because no one wants to think that they're doing these things. No one wants to think that they are hurting someone or being biased, because they think, especially if they are teachers, that they are devoting their time and their energy and their money to helping the next generation, right? I couldn't possibly be a, biased, discriminatory person because I'm a teacher and I love kids and I dedicate my time to them every day. But I think the reality is that we all have tendencies to discriminate because of our backgrounds and our experiences and our histories with individuals that just kind of give us veils of ways of thinking of the world. So now we need to kind of come up with ways of how to tackle that and how to work around that or through that. So I'm going to give you two examples. One comes from where I am from, this little corner of America. I'm from the state of Indiana, as we saw on the map earlier, and one that came from my time in Ukraine. Okay, so this was asked by a couple people in our popcorning time if I could share examples of discrimination. So here you go. Ask questions if you'd like. So when I was in fifth form, in America, we would call that fifth grade, but fifth form, fifth grade, my entire form went down to our assembly room, like our big hall, to listen to a woman speak to us near the Christmas winter holiday about Hanukkah. And so she taught us about lighting the menorah and the history of Hanukkah and what kind of traditional songs they sang and foods they ate and all of these different things. And it was really interesting. It wasn't something I think almost any of us had any knowledge of before. And as we were going back to our classes after she finished her discussion and talk with us, our science teacher grumbled and said, "I don't know why we had to spend time with that. None of you are Jewish anyway. That was a waste of time." That would be discriminatory. That would be highly discriminatory. It could be discriminatory on levels of religion and culture and freedom of education and freedom of speech. And I felt personally very uncomfortable. And so I went home and I told my mother, and I said, "Wow, Mr. Carroll said this today, and I feel really uncomfortable because I'm not Jewish and I don't know anyone who's Jewish in my class, but that's not really the point, is it? Like, we should be able to learn about other things, period, end of." And she also got angry and agreed. And so she called the principal. In America, we call them principals. And she spoke with him about Mr. Carroll's behavior. And Mr. Carroll then never called on me in class again. I was a pretty good science student. I also had him for history. I was a pretty good history student. Never called on me, no matter how long my hand was raised, no matter if anybody else's hand was raised in class. He would completely ignore me. So I'm not sure if you can count what he did to me discriminatory, because there's not a specific overarching label, but you can count it as poor teaching and based on a discriminatory root or behavior. So that was kind of my first experience in discrimination against somebody else, not against me, but against somebody else, and kind of stepping up and saying something. The one I'm going to tell you about in Ukraine, several of you know that I lived in several different spots around the country. The second one was in Zarkarpattia, but in a village called Vonihovo. And I worked at a camp called Boriska and the village school. And at the school, I was primarily helping the English teachers. And there was this English teacher who was probably about my mom's age, and another one who was a few years younger than me. And they taught all of the lessons between themselves. And they were both very excited to meet an American, to speak English with a native speaker. They talked all the time about how happy they were to have me and how excited their students were. And it was, it felt like a very happy time, but it also felt a little bit like a lot of pressure because I'm the American. And they want all of their best students to always be talking with me. And I was a little bit worried about that. So I don't remember how many months I had been there, but I was working with a first form class, and there was a young boy that I was helping him find the page of the book that we were on. And the teacher, the older teacher, came to me and she said, "Oh, don't worry about him. You can't teach him anyway." And I said, why can't I teach him? And she goes, "Well, he's Romani, so he doesn't even understand Ukrainian. So that's no point to teach him English. He can't learn." And I kind of sat there and I kind of cocked my head and I went, "No, he can learn English." And I continued to help him find his page and help answer his questions and all of these things that I could do to help him in that, 10 minutes left of the lesson, 20 minutes left of the lesson. But as we were leaving, she said, "You really wasted your time. He'll drop out of school in a few years anyway. They don't ever wash, their hands or shower at home. He's just a lost cause. Don't waste your time." And I still to this day struggle with not knowing how to handle that situation. My response at the time was to continue teaching all of the students I worked with equally and to treat them equally and with respect and care. But I wish that I had done something to encourage the teachers to also do that, because it feels very wrong to me that just because somebody doesn't excel in one area, that means that they are never going to be taught in all other areas. And they're never going to be given a chance by all teachers because one teacher told them they're not worth it. So, do any of you have any questions for any of those stories?
I have a small question. Thank you for sharing stories. So interesting, and I never thought it's possible, as in the US as well as in Ukraine, such kind of situations. I have a small question about your American situation. Wasn't the feedback anonymous the work of that teacher? Because it's we also have such kind of communication between administration and students, for example, or between pupils, and usually such kind of notes or communication is anonymous, and the person is fully a person isn't safe when to avoid teachers' pressure and so on. So it was maybe strange that headmaster of the school or someone who is connected with all this just put the information that the teacher knew the person.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Let me ask really fast. Hold on. Hey, Mom. Yeah. How did Mr. Carroll know that I had brought it up? But how did they, like, did Mr. Stitt say? Yeah. So my mom says that she may have, you talked to Mr. Carroll? Okay. She may have talked directly to the teacher herself. So she may have said, my daughter said this, and this is, I'm not comfortable with this, and what the heck? Or she brought it to the principal, and he said, Holly Nickerson said this, and he should not have said that probably. But either way, Mr. Carroll's response, the science teacher's response was, I have never been racist in my life. I would never say those things. I have never. And he was so, we would use the word affronted, or like angered. He felt disrespected, that his response was to continue those reactions against me for the rest of the school year. Maria, your idea of our concerns, like mine and my mom's, being anonymous to him is certainly something that I think we'll talk about a little bit later, is one route to go. You know, if you're hoping for change and you're hoping to be a little bit safer, that's certainly one way to go. I think the reality, and many of you will know this from also living in small towns in Ukraine, is that small towns, everybody knows everything. You know, yeah, everybody knows everything. Yana can tell you that in Vinohradov, which is not a small town, everyone knew who I was. And yeah, it was, if I was going to school number 8 to do a presentation, I would walk into school number 8, and within 5 minutes, all of the kids that I knew from school number 8 would know I was there, even if I wasn't going into their classroom or something else. And small towns talk. That's a happy example of a good way to do it, but small towns, they know how to talk to each other. Any other questions? So how can we as students or youth work against discrimination in schools? No right or wrong answers. Oh, I love it. Stand up for those who can't do it themselves. Speak the problem out. So talk about it. Don't be silent. Support the people who are being discriminated. Make information. So someone was sharing their experience and how they had kind of a learning moment. And when they were able to get more information, they learned and they kind of changed their ideas and what they did personally. So if you guys made information campaigns, that would be a great way to help share that information out more. Don't be silent. Share the experience. Tell parents, teachers, administrators. Yes, yes, yes. Yep. Guys, this is awesome. So we're gonna take these answers, and what I would love to do is, knowing all of those ideas, those make up what's called an active bystander. An active bystander is someone who not only witnesses a situation, but takes steps to speak up or step in to keep a situation from escalating or to disrupt a problematic situation. So they stand, they speak, they act, and they make sure that there's not more harm that can happen. You guys talked a lot about that in some of those ideas, you know, telling a person to stop, asking for help from a teacher, making campaigns so people have more information so that it doesn't get worse. Active bystanders is what we absolutely are encouraging people to be. And there's several different techniques. So the first one, that one on the left that says no action, we don't even want to look at that. If you were taking no action, then you would not be active. Okay, so ignore that left one. That would be the opposite of being an active bystander. We're going to look at the other 4. So these are different ways. After you've witnessed harassment or discrimination, what could you do? So direct action. You could directly intervene and confront the perpetrator. Distraction. So you could de-escalate the situation by engaging the perpetrator or the target in conversation. An example of that one would be, you know, so-and-so, the teacher is showing Dasha's grades, and Dasha is embarrassed because her grades are so good and she doesn't want anybody else to know how great she's doing in math. And there is, you know, reverse discrimination. If the teacher is saying that Dasha's so good, Dasha's so great, Dasha's so amazing, then Ivan will feel bad about himself potentially. So I can de-escalate the situation by saying, you know, teacher, I don't understand this question. Can you help me? And I will take the attention away from Dasha and away from the grades and remove that target. Delegation would be to ask someone with more power in the situation to intervene instead of you. So this would be like when I asked my mom to help me with Mr. Carroll. This would be going to your teachers or your maybe a friend, your principal, older students, things like that. And then delay, sometimes we need to do this if the harassment is really, really strong in the moment, especially if it becomes physical. So if there's a moment where it becomes physical bullying, violent, it's important to wait and approach the victim after the fact and see if they're all right and see what you can do afterwards. Okay. So we just have a little bit more time and then I will be wrapping up, but I would love to hear from each group just kind of what you guys thought of the situation and how would you respond? What would you do and what you would say? So would someone from group 1 or room 1 want to go first?
I can. So we think that judge a person by the appearance is really awful, and we would ask this guy to show his skills, like for everyone to see that he is not a bad player, or just to propose him to play together, like not on the training, just after. Maybe it would help him to improve his skills if he is really bad at football.
Ah, okay. So you've got two options there. The first one is, let's see if you're good. If you're good, you can play. Cool. If you're not good, we are a team and we want to win, but we'll let you keep playing with us so that you can get better, maybe just not in the games, which I think is fair. I think that's a fair answer. Thank you. Anybody from group 2?
Okay, so we agreed that we should probably support the kid after like the conversation that was discriminating, just unpleasant for him or her. And we should try to support this person and tell that it's like they shouldn't care about what the teacher says because it's just not right, and her comments or his comments are just not right, and they shouldn't care about this. And also we would talk to the head teacher and tell the problem and hope that they will do something about it.
Okay, I like that. So you're going to be supportive to the student, see, you know, how you can help them and how you can, you know, be a good friend to them, and also how you can get some help from another person so that the teacher can stop their discrimination, their behavior. Yeah, great. Group 3.
We from group 3, we decided that first of all, we have to tell that to our parents because our parents can probably do more than us, and we have to light this topic in social media, probably in like local, if there's a small city or something, and of course the government should know. And because this is a school director and it's not just like a teacher, it's a director. And so we chose parents, government, and social media.
I really appreciate that multiple times in this presentation, multiple of you have brought up social media or bringing it to like the public's eye. I think that's something something that youth today know more about than I did, and certainly my parents or your parents know. But it's a great way to get social change to really happen. So that's really great. Before we move on, was there anybody in your groups that disagreed with like what most of your group was saying? Like you were just like, no, we shouldn't do that. Or you didn't feel comfortable with an idea, you wanted to try something different?
We all actually were thinking the same, like.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you, everybody. These three situations are all things that I saw in Ukraine. Especially, I think, situation number 3. Very, very, very common for students to not finish their homework or not to, do the same amount of work on tests or projects or exams and still get good grades, while other students would try really, really hard and get the same-ish grade. And that is, not quite fair. So that one was hard, and I think a harder one to deal with because it's more across the board. It happens all the time. It's not just one little situation, it's more cultural. But your ideas to bring it and kind of spotlight it with social media are great. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your great ideas, your great comments and questions. And I'm so happy I got to spend today with you. It was really a joy. This is all of my contact information down below: email, Instagram. I have Viber, Telegram, WhatsApp. I have an iPhone, so you can, whatever kind of messaging, calling, whatever you want to do. I'm happy to do that with all of you. If you have future questions, concerns, comments, ideas, please, please, please feel free. If you have any of those now, I'm still here. If not, I will turn all of my time back to you guys and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Holly. So we have the situation which we will show to you, and you need to understand what is going incorrect. So what is going in a better way, and try to do something to improve this situation. So yeah, be ready to listen in the first situation.
So let's start. Situation number 1. A job interview with a single 23-year-old woman.
Good afternoon. My name is Ludmila. I'm 23. Here's my resume.
Thank you. I have some questions. Are you married? Do you have children?
No, I don't.
Sorry, but we have to reject you.
But why? What happened?
Sorry, but I'm sure that you take maternity leave and you can't work correctly. And our company is looking for the candidates who already have children, and those children are adults. So there is a situation, and you need to try to figure out something. Our second situation is about a viewer, but we do not know exactly who was it. So theft occurs in school, and imagine that this school is international, and a lot of different nationalities are represented there, and someone has stolen 100 hryvnias. It's like not so big money, but still it's money, and it's important to find someone who was connected to that. And those money, that money belongs to the daughter of a head teacher. So like imagine the usual situation in Ukrainian school when you have classmate like a head teacher, headmaster daughter. So, and here is the situation.
Someone has stolen Irinka's money. Well, undoubtedly, we have to find the thief because we know who her mother is.
We are sure. We are sure that Miloš has done it. He is wrong.
Hey, I was in school when the accident happened. I missed 2 classes because I had an appointment with a dentist. I haven't stolen anything.
You're a pretty liar. All gypsies and vipers are thieves.
So yeah,
No.
situation, and you need to change something to make discrimination less in this situation. Yeah.
So let's get down to situation number 3.
Yeah.
On a lesson of national defense, the class was divided into 2 groups, boys and girls. A boy decided to study medicine with the girls.
Hey, Halina Vasilievna, I would like to attend your lessons of medical aid.
What? Have you lost your mind? You're not allowed to attend those lessons. You should be learning how to hold a gun. Medical aid is a woman's job.
Wait, but I want to know how to apply bandages and tourniquets, and I want to learn something new, not only how to hold a gun. I can't do that right now.
So yeah, here is the situation, and try to decide what can we change. Okay, so we have our situation. Imagine that there is a big lesson, and we have our volleyball class, and like one team needs some participants, some more participants, and yeah, here is the situation.
Hey guys, we need one more participant in our team. Who wants to join us?
I want.
No, you can't. There should be only guys in our team. They play better.
And what's the difference who plays?
Yeah, so like a girl was rejected just because she's a girl and she can't play volleyball enough good to take part in such kind of activity in PLS. What can girl do? Thank you once more time for joining us. It was pretty good time. And I hope that in some way it helped some of us to rethink of some ideas of some actions and to know more new things about discrimination, how we can avoid it, and how we can decide whether it's discrimination at all. And yeah, if you have something to share, you are free now to do that. And if no, we'll end our session. And yes.